Hey guys, my name is Bryce, and today I'm doing a video that's gonna start off with Lego and end up in Yu-Gi-Oh! I ended up constructing out of combinations of kind of standard Lego system parts, Bionicle parts, and Hero Factory parts, as well as a few textile things which I custom sewed myself into like full-on costumes to make 3D sculptures of some of my favorite cards in this deck. Now, things like doing the vest and actually doing the handmade kimono, which, I mean, the trim is not super accurate, but the rest is kind of okay at like paint the gears and things like that. The rest of it I think is, you know, accurate within reason and things like that. I just wanted to do a video of kind of featuring these first before diving into this. What this is the golden gearbox of my Karakuri deck. This is not as of when Duel Links came out. This is as of, you know, editions after editions that I've made over time since I actually arrived in Denmark. I love the fact that these Karakuri are based on wooden sort of clockwork slash pseudo-automata from Japanese history, but of course with that Yu-Gi-Oh! Twist of, you know, you don't see full-on dogs with shoulder cannons and things like that in it, but I think it's interesting at least to look at the art style. Check out a history page about it or something like that online if you care. On to the actual cards themselves. First off, we've got one Inferno Reckless Summon. You're going to see 3 machine dupes, as you can imagine, with this deck. This is only a one of as a additional copy, but it is nice, whereas you can see as a clue here, I don't know if he represents that well, but we've also got a silver Gadget in the background. So this can also target that. Should you be able to have this trigger off, typically in your opponent's turn, if you've got a silver Gadget getting special summoned out, you can bring this out, flood it out with more special summon from your hand if you want, but otherwise just a good all-around card to bring out. Also because it's a quick effect in response to, you know, one of your Karakuri synchros special summoning something out, just spam out more things, get more material for links, etc. Now we've got 3 machine duplications. Gosh, I absolutely adore this card in this deck. If it's reduced down to being able to play less somehow at another ban list, man, that's gonna hurt this deck. Moving on, we've got 3 instant fusions. Now we only run 1 target in this deck, so that's a bit dodgy. You can always adjust that a little bit, but we'll get to that later. But really love opening with a hand for this. Then we've got 3 transmodifies. I've seen in some of Infinitracks that you have downbeat. This actually wants to go up because this is primarily, you know, you're playing 6 gadgets, so that's, you know, that's like a little over a quarter, but then you've got a ton of Karakuri that are, you know, the level 3s and then 2 level 4s, so as long as you've got the tuner, you transmodify this up to a monster I'll get to in a second, the Pegasus one, then you effectively can revive that with the effect of the Pegasus. So really great to go into, especially if you can do that, you know, after machine duping something. There's a lot of just like so much copying on the board. It's just a machine factory kind of deck. We've got 1 Monster Reborn as an extender, and we've got 2 Iron Calls. Effectively, Monster Reborn is, you know, for no limitations. This one's pretty darn close to it, trailing behind. But again, helps you extend a lot from the grave and things like that. Just keep in mind that you will be shutting off the effects, and you destroy it in the end phase. So hey, if you do actually bring back a Gadget, as you'll often see in your hands, this is great too, because you can special summon out from your hand at the end phase if there happens to be a nice combo with that. This is a bit of a gamble. We've got 3 Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Frisson, excellent extender, really hurts you in the grind game. You don't really go into time with this kind of deck, to be honest. It's very glass cannon-y. So yeah, I think the life point gain you can justify just is that you'll die pretty quick if things go south with this deck. It's not competitive, I'm just playing with a bunch of pseudo more expensive cards, although thankfully they've dropped down in price and I picked them up. Don't expect to be even a locals champion with this deck, just as a fair say. We've got 1 Infinitrack Trencher. Some people in the Infinitrack decks will be using 3 of these guys because it is a machine dupe target. However, I like being able to search this out just with the Harvester and then not make the deck too huge. It's obviously lovely to be able to have access to a level 5. So you can certainly adjust this if you want to, adapt this deck in a certain way, but I just run 1. Now, we do run 3 of the Anchor Drill, because, oh boy, this helps this deck so much in being able to special summon from the hand. Play Gadget before this, play this out, and then you can pick, any of your Karakuri tuners, and you're, further off to the races. And then, as I was mentioning before, we're playing 2 Railroad Stampedes. Just the fact you need to have something in the graveyard as a target is something to consider. Also the fact you have the restriction of you cannot declare attacks the turn you activate this effect. So that actually pertains to the level modulation and things like that. But there is a bit of a restriction on you won't be able to attack with other things, although this has shifted from kind of doing an order of, you can instant fusion into something, and then you synchro summon with that, or link. Definitely link after synchro summoning, because you usually have 2 monsters that you can get draw effects from Burrito and things like that, and then Xyz last. So this is okay to justify because you're usually going into Xyz monsters now with this particular deck. Got 3 Cezanne, because if you can target this Watchdog, a level 4 Earth Machine, with your Pegasus or with a special summon out with one of the gadgets, etc. It's just a great tuner to go into your Burrito, etc. Next we've got 3 Gold Rare Silver Gadgets, and then we've got 3 Gold Rare Gold Gadgets. There's a lot of them in this deck, all sort of benefit from being able to special summon stuff out, especially from the deck, so you can thin out a bit, and it helps you a lot. Now I've got Infinitrack Harvesters. Yeah, it was not too hard to get these guys. I know they were really expensive for a while, but they're really not now, so don't worry about that. Although definitely try and get these online, because they have been short printed like crazy. Same thing goes for the Anchor Drills as well. Yeah, definitely try and get these guys online if you can. But these are actually a way that you can get into Naturia Beast now, because initially I wasn't running them because I was like, oh, they're too expensive. Now that's not really a problem, and their level modulation opens up so many opportunities for Xyz summoning, but we'll get into that later. Lastly, we've got the actual Karakuris themselves, well, aside from Watchdog. So we're running these 2, the classic Ninishi over here, and then we've also got Strategist over here. She's wonderful in being able to normal summon her, or if she's special summoned either actually. Hits the field, you get to normal summon another Karakuri, including yourself, so even if you bring her out with the option for Burrito or Beret, and you bring out something else, so you've got another monster you can normal summon out from your hand as long as it's a Karakuri, and that feeds into more Link fodder, or you can, use that to tribute off one of the extra things for an Infinitrack, and then give protection to your Xyz. A lot of things. And then of course this one has a great combo with Burrito. Also being able to special summon this out on your opponent's turn for a variety of reasons is also lovely, because you can kind of disrupt a little bit if they haven't got a full board of links, etc. Now we're going to go to the extra deck. So all of these, I've really had a hard time sort of narrowing things down, so if you have a different flavor for this, you are more than welcome to fine-tune things. Okay, so with the extra deck, we're starting off with Infinitrack Goliath. This is your protection for your Xyz, and it's not that difficult to bring out. I know you can certainly just go with a pure Infinitrack build and have a much more streamlined sort of direction with this, but I like the fact that this is more kind of like a toolbox sort of build, in the fact that you have access to rank 4s a lot more, and you've got almost a bizarre variety of different things you can sort of bring out. But I sort of run one of these as protection, especially for Cyber Dragon Infinity. Then we've got Platinum Gadget. Man, this does so much work in this deck. The fact that I'll usually do a combination of any number of things, of getting into my Burrito, special summon out the Strategist, and then from there, do the shift the battle position, draw a card, and then immediately I've drawn a card, link into this, and I've got some Earth Machines in the graveyard for a variety of other things, like you can bring it out with Pegasus, etc. The fact this can't be linked off is a drag. It also really hurts this deck, the fact that Summon Sorceress is now on the ban list, so she's out of here. It's all updated, but this is also a good one to have because it opens up your plays. You can spam out like a few synchros or go into your XCs in different positions, which is nice. I would certainly prioritize Goliath in a way if you can, only because you still open up the extra zone with the arrow and you've got the protection bonus, but if you gotta special summon something out, man, super generic for this. Now I've got Mrs. Radiant. More than a year and a half ago now when I first got this deck and this had just come out, I was like, great, at least I can kind of play these and have possibly 2 synchros out at the same time. Doesn't help a lot, except the attack bonus is great, getting to add back to the hand is fine. It's just nice to have generic Earth stuff that you can sort of take over if you like. I've got 1 Panzer Dragon, but the fact it's level 5 and it's got the ability built into it, I really like. I'll go into a separate video where I've got so many cards I considered for this deck otherwise, and if somehow everything else goes wrong, this ability can still end up letting you target a card, but at least destroy that target if you've got like a Floodgate to deal with or something like that. So yeah, there's that. Then we got Naturia Beast. Love being able to have access to this card. Just read the effect. It's very effective at dealing with opponents who've got say pendulums and you've managed to go first. It's ridiculous that you can, have a deck as bad as Karakuri, have access to something as lovely as this card, but there you go. Next we've got FA Dawn Dragster. It's one of the only 2 level 7s here, but you've got a lot of problems with back row if you're a combo deck, so this helps you out a lot with that. Next we've got Beret, the level 7. This one a bit effectively can just sort of change the battle positions of other monsters in the field, but it does let you, of course, do the classic where you can special summon out a Karakuri monster from your deck. So you kind of go into one of 2 ways of either you just bring out a Karakuri to link off, and hey, if you can choose Nanishi, then that's great. You can possibly normal summon out another Karakuri from your hand. Otherwise, it's just nice to have 2 materials, go into Platinum Gadget, and then keep going with new zones open, etc. Or you could also special summon out the Watchdog, so 7 plus 4, hey, you've got 11, and then you can go into Star Eater, which I'll get into later. And so you've got that going for you. Next you've got just 1 Burrito. You can do 2 if you like, and then you can swap it out with something else, which happens to be Scrap Dragon. This one's just MVP for being able to synchro this out first as early as you can with so many combinations in this deck, and then from there get a draw by having Strategist out, flip itself around for a second, you get to draw a card, and then link this away. Meanwhile, this is kind of the boss monster that it used to be, but if you do need to attack something over with this and Mrs. Radiant or something, you can make that material, and then that's nice too. Scrap Dragon is nice because when it comes to reading the text of the Platinum Gadget, you can actually blow up your Platinum Gadget to destroy an opponent's monster, and Platinum Gadget will special summon out another gadget from your deck, and that can special summon out something as well. That combination's come up a couple times, not that often, but it's definitely rewarding for that. You could also replace this, I would say, with Baguska if you want to be trying to go first and pause things, because it's quite easy to make Platinum Gadget, use that sort of extension of another special summon to get out 2 level 4s. You've got a crazy amount of gadgets and Infinitrack things that can get to level 4, etc., and then have that as a stall. So it's a close tie between this and Baguska, I would say, but it's nice to be able to destroy a bit, which you don't have a lot of in this. Next, you have Star Eater. This one is just the big, silly beater thing. You have to be careful that this is actually not a machine, so if you have something like Pegasus coming out, you gotta be aware you're not gonna be able to attack with this right away. But the fact that it has so much protection to just getting it on the field if you're trying to play through a lot of negation, that's nice, and being able to attack over 3,000 is still useful in this day and age. Next we've got Evil Swarm Exciton Knight. Just nuke the board when in doubt, because like I said before, if you've got your Platinum Gadget out and it's destroyed and everything, well, that actually gives you a bit of a plus in various ways. And the fact that you can use this once per turn, you can blow up on your turn and then blow up your opponent's field on their turn, so I quite like that. And then we've got where this gets into, an actual negate properly besides the FA monster. Having Cyber Dragon Nova and Cyber Dragon Infinity is fantastic with this deck. Bring it out as often as you can, and please, if you can, find a way to equip Goliath with this from various combos. Very, very nice together. I quite like that. And then we're going to go into the other XCs that you can do, which you can swap out if you don't really care for doing silly harvester stuff, but I think it's nice to be open for those opportunities because they do come up like a decent amount of time. So you've got Draco Sack, if you can level modulate into having 2 level 7s on the field. You've got a lot of, level 5s are bringing out, and you've got, your level 2s for the harvester to smoosh together and form this. It gives you a bunch of tokens to go into your platinum gadget, as well as have it actually as fodder for synchro summoning afterwards and going into Karakuri. So there's this whole circle of recycling, actually. So you've got that to generate tokens, and have some destruction as well, which is nice. And if you need a large attack monster, that's great, but you're most likely going to use this for the popping effect and get some tokens for some other shenanigans. And then the last one, I've got True King of All Calamities, because yeah, this deck can make it. You've got some level 7 synchros you can bring out pretty easily, or if you want to use FA to pause something that's a spell or trap and then bring this out with a harvester, fabulous. Really like this as a boss monster as well. That sort of concludes it for the extract in this configuration. As you can see, even though you've got some pretty decent cards in this, you're not really playing with any hand traps. You definitely want to try and hope that your opponent doesn't either. However, I would say if you do need to kind of play hardball with your local level, firstly I'm just a fan of Effect Veiler, so I could swap those out with 3 in my side deck, and Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Even though the Karakuri monsters that are synchros care about, machines, etc., tuners can be, any type of tuners as long as it's machines that you're synchroing with as the non-tuners. So that's nice. Also, just a quick note, these are in different colored sleeves from the main deck. It's because I'm actually playing them in a series of different decks that I normally do. I really don't want to use these in this deck because hopefully you're playing against other players who are doing stuff just for fun and to do stupid combos, but I would certainly re-sleeve these if I would decide to go and play with this deck and play with these cards together. Just a quick side note. And then on the flip side, if you want to be super aggressive, we've got limiter removal, no longer limited. You can just go crazy with doubling the attack, and the fact you've got so many gadgets in here that can be brought out after they're destroyed at the end phase means you can actually recover from that without much drawback, which is quite nice. Next, we've got One Dark Hole. Hey, speaking of, the gadgets, here's more great gadget stuff. If you want to have Torrential Tribute instead of this and have more, that's cool too. Go with whatever your preference is. We got Called by the Grave to say please don't interrupt my plays. We've got 3 Twin Twisters for any of your back row removal needs, and the fact you discard a card, sometimes it actually works out and Pegasus can go back and fetch that for you. And to finish it off, we've got 2 Prankachops. Can pop. It's quite a big monster to bring out with next to no setup compared to the rest of this deck. And it's Earth if you need Mrs. Radiant really, really badly, but I wouldn't recommend it. So that wraps it up for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. There's a ridiculous amount of work that goes into this for putting these cards together, not necessarily the whole video itself. So if you like, please hit that thumbs up button for subscribing and everything. I don't know if I'm going to do many more videos like this other than 2 I have in mind. First one's going to be for a variety of combos, etc. But the one I'm going to do before that is a cards to consider video, which will be just me rambling on about all the other cards I was trying to figure out to make this deck work, but they could work for you. So check that out whenever it comes out. I'll add an annotation to that when it's live. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.